Greetings and welcome to American Pods, the American Gods podcast, hosted by Legion of Leia. I am the assistant editor of Legion of Leia for the website, Christina, and I am joined by my lovely panelist, Shaun.
What's up?
Okay, shut up now. And Brittney.
Hi, guys.
And our lovely summer child puppy, Mike.
Oh my god!
It grew.
The time
Now
is longer and cuter. Oh my god.
Wait, can't you just be sweet summer puppy? Sweet summer puppy.
The sweet summer puppy.
Oh,
Sweet
yeah.
summer. Hi, sweet summer puppy.
I almost fell out my chair.
Oh my god.
Hi
So
guys.
good.
Sweet summer puppy. That's gonna stick because of your comments last week.
Yep.
Oh man, let me go and change the Twitter handle.
But so right to it. We start this episode with an animation, actually.
Right, yes.
This was one of the weirder ones because not only was it animation, but it was going into a subject matter that none of us really know about. And this chronicles some of the first peoples crossing from Siberia through the landmass and into America. And their god, which was as represented by a mammoth skull, was called Nunyanini. Now, being that the stupid American that I am, I kept saying to myself, Nunya business.
Yeah. I gotta be fair, my brain was there with you. Whenever I heard Nunya, I'm like, Nunya.
But this was one of the weird ones because I've watched it twice now, and it still went over my head. Like, Shaun?
Okay, so the story here is they're traveling and they're trying to find the land of plenty. They're trying to find a place where they're able to basically, get and to prosper. And the god says that in order for you to make this passage, you will have to, have this tremendous sacrifice. And they think it's going to be the sacrifice of the people who are dying along the trip. And of course, the queen loses her child right before they get to the land, and they still can't find food. Yeah. And there's this moment where, okay, we're here, there's nothing to be done, and she has the vision. And the vision is you will have to sacrifice yourself in order to fell the beast, to show that you're willing to die to save your people. And by doing so, they were able to show that they were not an inherently hostile folk, which the natives of this land then said, we will help you. And then the land of plenty opened. So the queen, kind of like Moses, was able to lead the people to the promised land, but never actually went to the promised land.
That's true. Okay, yeah. And the guy who smacked the food out of the other guy's hand
is a jerk.
Was a jerk, and he deserved to die. So that was the sacrifice that they had to make.
Absolutely. But the saddest part is, of course, Nunyanini gets them here, goes through this whole thing, and then is forgotten.
And then he's immediately forgotten because the other people had to adopt their buffalo god.
Yes.
That one that I remembered, and that was so sad.
It really was, yeah.
And did we ever get to see, like, he's mentioned in the books, but we don't ever see him ever.
There's a portion early on in the book where Shadow has a vision, or he's in a room, I forget exactly.
I always thought that was the buffalo, like we saw in the show.
But he has a vision, though, of all the different gods who have been forgotten.
Oh.
And I want to say Nunyanini is in the room of the forgotten gods.
Yeah.
Yes.
Correctly. I want to say that's a moment.
So they literally go to a room?
Well, it's like just an in-between place.
That's sad.
Yeah, and they're stuck there with other gods. It's
that's like the waiting room of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
In my brain, it always reminds me of that room in Beetlejuice where, they're trying to go back.
Oh, yes.
And the janitor shows them the room of the souls that have been dispossessed and stuff. It's like the exorcised souls. That's what it always reminded me of. And that room is terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's he's like, it's death for the dead. I'm like, ooh.
But you know what? The animation style was perfect for this kind of storytelling because stop motion at its core, as beautiful as it can be, scares the crap out of me. And I love that more modern stop motions have really dug into that, like Coraline. Like, when I saw this, I was thinking Coraline, and then I also thought, amazingly enough, Krampus. That whole flashback scene with the grandma.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but that's how it feels. Is it feels dark and moody and just a little scary. And I love that this first story of the first god forgotten in America was going to be Nunyanini, and it's done in this kind of just really dark, just moody stop motion scene. I loved it.
It was definitely something that I was just like, okay, I dig it.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly sad.
Oh, it's totally sad.
And Jesus, he just kind of melds in with the earth as time moves on.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, we finally thank goodness for Shaun, because he was literally itching for more.
Oh.
We finally get the conversation between Shadow and Laura.
Yes, I'm like, thank Christ, we finally got here. I've been waiting for 2 episodes, man. Like, Jesus.
It's literally that character Dave Chappelle always makes. I don't ever know his name, but he's the crackhead.
Oh yeah, you got some more of that conversation?
Ashley Larry? It's not Ashley Larry. Yeah, the crackhead. I'm sorry, not
scratching his stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got any more of them there conversation episodes?
Yeah, I need this to happen.
Like, I need some revolution.
Yeah, I need some resolutions. Which is why I was all excited when we started the episode, because we finally got to the talk. Yeah. And I think it's hilarious because literally, what is it, like a 3-minute conversation?
It's a it's like so short, but it just everything that they needed to say is being said.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
But I like how it opens. Shadow just throws a pillow at her. It's like, are you real?
Yes.
And she throws
and
it
she's
back.
like, you dick.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
she threw did she throw a lamp?
No, she threw it back. She threw the pillow back instead.
Yeah.
She threw it back. But of course, him throwing it, it's like, oh, that's cute. Her throwing it, it's like, that was like a cannonball. You got to be careful, because that girl can throw now. So it's like,
gosh.
That's like getting hit by the last son of Krypton and stuff. You don't want that to happen.
With
like
a pillow.
With a pillow. I don't know. That's not going to feel good.
But yeah, so what did you think of the conversation now that you finally have it?
Well, I loved it. We kind of talked about it a little bit last episode, where Laura is very much a matter of fact. She had the conversation with Audrey where, this is what happened. This is, I'm not hiding it. This is who I am.
I like that she doesn't have any excuse. Like, this is what I was feeling at the time.
Right.
This is what I needed. And I'm a bitch.
Yeah. Oh, but she did also coin a phrase that was not in the book that I'm aware of, a baker's ear.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. I love that.
She waited exactly 13 months before she finally caved.
Right. And
baker's ear.
I love that. A baker's ear. I cracked up so much at that and I thought that was great. And then, of course, you have the moment where he doesn't know what to do, and she was like, well, can you get me, some cigarettes? And kicks him out of the room so that way she can kind of reset. And she's trying to seduce him.
Yeah. And
for the life of me, I never thought they could make Emily Browning somebody that I would kind of like hesitate and go like, ugh, like if she's throwing herself at me. Cadaver Emily Browning is a little terrifying.
She is.
But you know what? At this moment, she still isn't yet, because she's got like that kind of beige gold dress on, and she's not rotting at the moment. She looks pretty decent.
She does, but then when he comes back and she's in the tub and you see the Y incision.
Oh, yeah.
And you see the arm, and it was, ooh, that was...
No, like, I always kind of chuckled at at her choice, because like she's in this tub with hot water.
Yeah.
Isn't this one of the things that Anubis told her not to do?
Right.
It's like she needs to take care of this body because it's not going to take care of itself anymore.
Yeah. And
here she is cooking herself in a hot tub.
Yeah.
She's like a stew.
Yeah, it's a low country boil.
It is. Oh God.
Okay, and if you're from the South, you got that joke. But no, I mean, I did like the fact that it was one of the first signs that Laura had turned a corner, and she was thinking about Shadow more than herself. And the fact that she was hoping that if he chose to touch her, that he would not be repulsed by the coldness of her skin.
Right.
She was trying to make herself warm. Now, obviously, it was still a seductive point. She was still trying to get him back, but she was thinking outside of her little Laura box, which I thought was an interesting choice.
She was being considerate.
She was.
To a point.
But you know what? It's not like she ever did not think of him. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I think death has definitely made her more, if anything, obsessive, because everything is about, let me get my puppy back. What can I do for him? I have his back. I'm protecting him. But it wasn't like when she was alive in life, it wasn't about she wasn't trying to make him happy. So
this goes back to the Ifrit moment. You just have like a dark turn on all of it. You don't want to see the goodness in it. You're like,
I just
believe in love, Brittney.
Look, if anything, I'm saying she's always had love for the man, alive and dead. Y'all are the ones acting like she treated him like a kicked puppy, pun intended, when he was alive, and then now she's trying to show him how much. I just think that she's always been like that. And I think that, to her wanting to be warm if he touches her is just the normal, natural course. That's all I'm saying.
That's all I'm saying. I love you, though. You don't
I know.
Your boss, yeah.
Okay, so the thing I found weird about everything is that she's dead. She doesn't breathe. But here she is in the tub, and she's smoking and talking about how she can't taste anything. If you can't breathe, how are you sucking in smoke and blowing it out?
I actually have a theory on this. And my theory is, it's... Okay, now, considering that nobody's come back from the dead that we know of, at least not recently.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I said,
and in the same way Laura has.
And in the same way Laura has, this is all conjecture, but based on the conjecture, our autonomic systems happen whether or not we realize they're going on. Our lungs inhale, our heart beats, but at any given time, you could choose to take a deeper breath if you want to. You could choose consciously to take control of your lungs and make them go... I assume that that's what she's doing when she's smoking. The lungs aren't naturally doing anything when she's not thinking about it. But just like her moving her arm, she could choose to inhale if she wants to. But she doesn't naturally inhale. That's the only thing I can think of, is she chose to go...
Not like that.
Not like that, but I mean, it's a podcast, okay? I gotta, verbalize it. But I mean, I would imagine that that's what she's doing, is that she's thinking about it versus it just happening naturally.
Okay, so if I am understanding you correctly, so she can do all of that, but no breath would come out unless, say
she inhaled first.
Yeah, unless she inhaled a smoke, and then the smoke just came back out.
And then she would push it back out, yes.
But if she, if say she doesn't have a cigarette and she did that on a window, the breath would not come out.
Right. So. If she's just trying to breathe out, if she didn't intentionally inhale first, she couldn't do it. She would have to intentionally inhale first, and she would have to intentionally exhale, because I would think if she didn't think to exhale, it would just be, just her lungs would inflate. I mean, that's my completely BS writer supposition here. You can choose to take it or leave it. I don't know.
I mean, this is fiction, so...
Yeah.
I know. That's right. I sound like those really weird nerds who are like, but, in Captain America, he can do this and he can punch you this, but I cannot believe that blah, blah, blah happens. And it's kind of the same thing here, me going, I can suspend my disbelief that a chick can come back and have these powers where she can kick a guy in the nards and, cut him in half and her arm falls off. But I can't believe that she can smoke a cigarette. So, yeah, that was my nitpick moment. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
Hey, you know what? After the reaming I gave last week's episode, I think that is a pretty... That was like a delicate touch, okay? Yeah. So
I'm a very delicate flower, damn it. Y'all don't believe me, it's fine, that's cool.
Okay, yeah. But I thought this conversation was it was pretty, I don't know, sweet. Maybe? I don't know. It was weird. What do you think, Mike? Sorry.
Thank God for the conversation too. It was illuminating, to say the least, to see how, after everything we saw from last week's episode, coming to this point with her on her side, and was it redeeming for me? A little bit. She of course didn't have to go the route that we've seen in other shows. It's like, I'm so sorry, baby. I didn't mean to do it. I'm so sorry. It's like, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry, but can we move on now? Can we just, move on now?
I do like how she's asking Shadow to move on from this so they can continue their lives together. Yeah. But Shadow still needs some kind of closure from what happened.
Right.
She wants to gloss over a few things because she has already gotten over it. Probably because of her conversation with Audrey. but Shadow still hasn't had that conversation, and so it needs to happen whether Laura likes it or not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of echoing from last episode to this episode. We talked a lot about this because of how nonchalant she is about the way she had a conversation with Audrey. And we alluded to this conversation with Shadow.
Yes.
But it's essentially the same thing. It's just, I did it, I can't undo it. Mm-hmm. This happened, moving on.
I waited for a baker's ear, and then I was drunk, and
there was a dead cat in the room. So
yeah, there was a dead cat.
There was a dead cat, and you know what they say about graveyards and motels? There's always one right next to the other.
Yeah.
Grief is a silly thing.
Yeah, it's a bit wacky. But at the same, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
No. I was just gonna say I was so excited that we got a glimpse of Mr. Wednesday again, and I love that they incorporate his crows, although we never know which one it is. But it's like the crow was kind of spying on Shadow and Laura, and he went and he told on him to Mr. Wednesday. Like, he goes down the hall, he knocks on the door, and they have their little bird conversation that, of course, he can understand.
Right.
But I thought that was cool because then, of course, that just cues Mr. Wednesday to go to Shadow's room to kind of distract him, to get him out of the room. He's like, let's go drink, let's go do everything. I'm glad that we got Wednesday again because I really like Mr. Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up that little scene with the crow because I don't know, but it made me laugh so hard when he was talking to the crow, and like when it's like, what are you talking about? And like, what?
the what was hilarious.
Like, oh yes, he sounded just like the crow.
He's what?
But and then after he tries to get Shadow out of the room and away from Laura,
as Laura's continuing to take her bath, because Shadow just needs a minute. Like, I gotta take a minute.
He needs a damn minute.
Because she's like, you're still my puppy? Are you still my puppy? And he's like, no. And I'm like,
he's like, at first you thought he was going to say yes, and then he says no. And it's like, what? It's like, I understand, though.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, you can't expect to just jump right back in. And the fact that she thought she could get away with that was a little conceited, you know, but also telling on how easy she thought this was all going to be. And, girl, you're dead. All right, this is not going to be a moment where you're going to. This is going to take, at the very least, one couple counsel session. Minimum.
I definitely love the role reversal because if this was a separate situation, she would have all of her girlfriends like, "You go, girl. You don't need that man." I'm on my screen like, "That's right, Shadow. You just walk out. You don't need this. You got this, dude."
Snapping at C formation. You're like,
"That's right."
I do like that they have the thing though where as she's trying to make him be her puppy again, how her heart beats.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kiss. The kiss.
Say that, like, as soon as they kiss, like, she feels her heartbeat like a single time.
Right.
And she can taste for a moment. She's like, oh my God, I felt alive. I could taste you. It was wonderful. And of course, it's kind of like a junkie. You're like, I got to chase that dragon. I got to feel that again, whatever I got to do.
Right.
And I think that's what Shadow becomes to her. Like,
Heroin.
She's at this point now obsessively chasing after him.
Well, I mean, at the very least, she wants to resolve this one way or the other. I think that if Shadow completely disowned her and was just like, nope, never again, go away, she would have accepted that.
Now,
I think that because of the events that are about to happen, you know, she never gets that moment, and she's like, damn it, look, I came back from the dead for this asshole. We're going to finish this talk, you know? Like, let's see what happens.
I wonder if this has anything to do with how, in the last episode when she was talking to Anubis, he was about to weigh her heart against the feather, and she, first of all, doesn't let him take her heart.
No way.
And she's like, I already know what the answer is, and then she pushes the scale down by herself.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this has any correlation to if Shadow is her mission to make amends and lessen the load of her shitty life.
You know, I think from a narrative point of view, from a storyteller point of view, that's obviously what's happening, is Shadow is her way to redeem herself on some level. I quite honestly don't give her that much credit for that. I don't think she was thinking that far ahead. I think for her, like Brittney was saying, she's chasing the dragon at this point. She needs the resolution from Shadow.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course she's not thinking like that, but...
Right, but I don't think there's like a little, monster in the back of her head saying, if you help your boy, you may not have to go to the dark place. You may not have to go to the hot tub.
Yeah.
I don't think that's in the back of her brain. I think for her it's a zero-sum affair. I either help Shadow, maybe I find a way to live, as we find out later on in the episode, or I just go back to the dark place. And I think for her, anything is better than being in the dark place. I think that the redemption factor hasn't even clicked into her brain yet.
Yeah, like she obviously has a mission in mind, even if she doesn't know it herself.
Yeah.
But, she's doing everything that she can right now to make amends and then stay far away from Anubis. Maybe.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
I do like the fact that she's become very protective over Shadow in this. In the book, it's a little bit more like she's a ninja. Like, she disappeared.
She is a fucking ninja.
And she throws out some zombie foo, and then she disappears again. In this one, she wants to be right next to Shadow the entire time.
Yeah.
Which, again, he's the son to her, like, as we've seen in the episodes. I mean, like, she literally...
He is literally the light of her life.
Yeah, and I think that's actually a really kind of cool thing, and I'd want to be near that. I mean...
Yeah.
So I totally get it.
And then Shadow leaves the room to talk to Wednesday, and then they get fucking arrested.
Which is hilarious!
And it was like, where did this come from? How did they get caught?
Right.
And I don't know. And then we go to the interrogation room, and what is it? Wednesday tries to pull the old senile old man act again, like we saw in the airport.
Jesus. Okay, Wednesday in an interrogation room is maybe the reason I wanted to watch this. Like, when okay, this is one of those things you didn't know you wanted it in your life until it happened kind of moments. Seeing just, oh God, I was losing my absolute mind where he's like, what? I was in the retirement home, and then he just came and picked me up, and I didn't know where I was at. And he's freaking out. and I love that the detectives are just looking at him like, seriously? You think we're going to buy this?
Yeah, it's like, just give me the truth. It's like, okay, you want the truth? And then he goes straight Wednesday and then tells him the whole goddamn thing, like his entire plan. Is like, come on, really?
I mean, seriously, if you wanted a synopsis of what Mr. Wednesday's plan is from beginning, middle, and end, he gave it to you right there. And if you didn't catch it, go rewatch the episode.
Mm-hmm. And then, meanwhile, Shadow is being interrogated, and he's saying nothing except lawyer.
Yeah.
Because he knows the deal. He's already been arrested.
Oh my God, this scene is so illegal, though.
It's so illegal. And, like, how is this detective, like, continuing her interrogation when all he's saying is lawyer? He's trying to lawyer up. Did they even read his Miranda rights?
One would assume, depending on the state, they could either read it to you on site or they could read it to you in their booking. But the Miranda, we assume, has been read. But just fun fact for anybody out there, if you didn't know this, as soon as you say the word lawyer in the presence of a police officer, all interrogation is supposed to stop. Anything after that is considered ex parte, and essentially lawyers can have a field day with that. They can have whole interrogations thrown out because the police won't shut up. That is a sure way to get out of jail fast if they keep talking, and they know that, which is why when you say lawyer, they're supposed to shut the hell up.
So I mean, it's a weird how motivated this particular detective.
Well, I also love the fact that this particular actress, I have not seen her since like the late 80s, early 90s. And I was like, oh my God. The last thing I remember her from that like I've seen so many times is she was actually in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. And amazingly enough, she's black and she survived the movie.
Whoa. Oh, yeah.
I'm not even making this up. And I was like, she did. She survived. She was in Nightmare 5. She was in Nightmare 5, and she was a swimmer. Which, I mean, talk about playing against a stereotype, right? People are like, even a Nazi. And the only reason I bring that up is because a Nazi made the joke. You know, it was like, break stereotypes. She swam. She was an Olympian. She was going out for the Olympics. And I love the fact that she survived that. And I was like, oh, shit. And I was so excited. And I felt really bad because she finally got nailed. Like, a horror movie finally got her. And I felt really bad.
But she reveals how they get caught.
She does. She reveals the weird fax footage and stuff. The surveillance
footage. Fax that hasn't been used since fax were invented.
Right. She's like, I don't even know what was plugged up.
Like they, I guess the technology kid boy.
Technology boy, yeah.
And media just kind of sent them the information and their exact GPS locations.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you know what? Some guys robbed a bank, and here are these guys.
Which,
so arrest them.
I think is the reason why she ignored the lawyer comment. She didn't want to arrest Shadow. She wanted to know what the hell was going on.
It's true.
Yeah, because like she said, it was so weird that how they got the tip, how like it was through a fax machine and that hadn't been turned on, right. And what the hell is going on? So tell us something.
and here are like the most perfect surveillance photo, images that they've ever seen in their lives. It was just all very suspicious.
I find it, maybe it's because of how Wednesday has traversed through all this time, but I found it interesting how these new gods knew exactly where Wednesday and Shadow were, but they chose to essentially take them to a new location where they can actually meet.
Yeah, instead of just going to the hotel.
Instead of just going there themselves. It was maybe a power move on their part.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, Mike, what did you, since it was a power move, do you think there was anything else behind that? Or do you have any, kind of theories as to why the trio of gods that show up, well, technically quartet, of gods that show up did it that particular fashion? Any kind of insight that you have?
For me, it was just a power move. Just the fact that they got the cops over there using their godlike powers to grab them from where they were, take them to a facility that was new or unknown, and try to bring a little fear tactics into it. I mean, if Mr. Wednesday was just a normal guy, being taken to the police station, I would be kind of freaking freaked out right now. But of course, with Shadow, him being hardcore ex-con, it didn't really faze him. But it definitely was a power move to put them into this place, this situation.
Now, this is going to sound really ADD, before we get any more into that particular scene, because that is
the meat.
That is the meat of this episode. Let's rewind a little bit and talk about the meeting between media and the technical boy.
Oh my God, it's so good.
By the way, can we just agree to call him technology instead of the technical boy?
Yeah, I'm just going to call it technology.
I call him technology. I hate that they call him the technical boy.
That's what he's called.
I know, but he's technology, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry. But he's technology, all right?
But in the spirit of what he always says, don't fuck with me.
Yeah.
You're like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I want to be technology. You want him to be called technology.
Let him be technology. He's just technology, all right? But absolutely. The Bowie just...
That Bowie was just like... She puts on really good characters.
She does.
Gillian Anderson, to the point where it gets scary, creepy good.
Yeah, and I heard Brittney squeal, and I know Brittney is a huge Bowie fan.
So much squeal. I loved it. When she appears, I'm just like, oh, and this is how it happens? And oh my God. And then she's like, apologize. And then she because she's speaking on behalf of Mr. World, but she just looks so flippin' good. I think if I'm going to be critical of anything, which I couldn't tell because you know how they're in the car because they're inside of the virtual reality or whatever for him. I was looking at her eyes. I could not tell if they were different. Like in one light they kind of did, in another it was kind of like, I just look like him. I don't have the eyes. I wanted the eyes to be Bowie eyes.
Yeah, I was actually looking into the eyes too. They were different.
They were? Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell because it's all that white light, and then, it kind of threw me off. But she is so perfect as Bowie. I love it so much. Like, it threw me off of everything else. I didn't even care that she was really chastising him and kind of also threatening him, and he was being the whiny little bitch that he is. And I was just like, she's Bowie. She's Bowie. He looks good. Oh, so good.
I mean,
but that's just me. That's just me.
Her Bowie was spot on. It was eerie how good it was. I was like, what? It's one of those things you hear that they're going to, like, we heard about the 4 characters that she was going to be, and I was really excited to see it in action. But it was just impressive. It's impressive how much of a chameleon they're making Gillian Anderson right now as she's, dipping in and out of these, celebrity roles. And I love the potential for just future seasons of, well, who else can they pick? Because they're kind of going through the best hits of the book right now. Like, they're knocking them off fast.
Yeah.
So pretty soon it's going to be like, well, who could she be? And I'm waiting for them to be like, we should just do something really screwed up and she's going to show up as like a Kardashian or something.
Oh, God.
But, I mean, seriously, though, imagine the kind of transformation she'd have to go through. It's so cool. And
it would be like one of the obvious choices because this society in America really worship the Kardashians right now.
I got to be honest, the first thing that came to my brain, because I wanted to make it something that would make everybody cringe equally, was Sookie. Yeah, but that hurt my soul to think about it, so then I went to her dad.
She was only around for a hot minute. The Kardashians have been around since I was in college.
Yeah, but my point was I wanted to make the pain real. But then I had to bring it back a little bit, so I went with the K-Rocks. Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. It's horrible. But, I mean, there's a lot of other really cool things that she could become, too, which is the really cool, just open palette that she has. But, like, Mike, seeing Gillian Anderson as, like, Bowie, are you, like, really, like, ensconced in, like, like, 70s, like, pop culture and whatnot? Or did the Bowie just kind of, like, fly over your head?
Oh, that's right. We never actually talked music.
No.
Yes, I definitely know Ziggy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One thing that really threw me off was we saw technology walk, just walking around. I think he actually walked out of the building, and then it was just that cube was on the ground. And he looked at it, and he was like, "Fuck!" and it just jumped on his face. I thought that because the first time we saw it, that jumped on Shadow's face, and they had the interaction. I thought that was a technology thing, and seeing it there, and he got upset by it, I'm like, "That's not yours? That's not your thing? Whose is that? Who owns it?"
Well, I think it is his, but I think it's been co-opted. I think that Mr. World, being who he is, has domain over all of it.
Whoever I don't even know who this guy is.
Well, okay. Who is Mr. World is like, okay, the first question that we have that we'll be asking you for a long time is, who do you think Mr. Wednesday is? Once we answer that question, it'll be, who do you think Mr. World is, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So that'll be something that we probably won't even find that out until the end of the freaking series. Or very close to the end of the series.
Very close.
Like they did in the book.
So.
Yeah. So just get ready for it, okay? That's a long journey.
Get ready for that, mindfuck. But yeah, for me, I loved Gillian Anderson's transformation into Bowie.
Love it.
But I love the interpretation of Technical Boy too. That's going to be with me.
Okay, that's fine. It just makes him feel like a lesser god to me. Calling him technology means he is technology. Calling him the technical boy makes him sound like a modern day Vulcan.
But you know what? This interpretation of Technical Boy, he kind of embodies everything wrong with the internet right now.
Oh yeah, it's very much so.
Because you get those little shits who just like to mouth off, and he is definitely one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And he is definitely. I love how they wrote him, and it's very intentional. It's like, okay, he is a troll in real life, and then he just when he finally gets to the apology scene in the interrogation room with Mr. Wednesday and Shadow, he it's not sincere, but it's the best it's the best he can do, and he's still a little shit, and you just want to knock out those 2 teeth.
Yeah, well, I think an interesting moment in the show is you have this part where they're doing the interrogation, mm-hmm. and then they say, okay, we're going to put you guys in the same room, which no cop would ever do.
No.
And they say, we're going to leave you here for a minute.
More protocol being just wrecked.
Right. And clearly, Mr. World is doing something. They're saying, put these guys in a room, we're going to come talk to them or something. Like, something is happening above the board, or way above the board, in the stratosphere, way above anybody's pay grade. And they sit down, and then they hear just the horror show that's going on outside. And we don't see it. All we do is we just hear the carnage that is occurring beyond those doors.
Yes, and we're getting into the introduction of Mr. World.
Yes, and what I think is great is before we get that, we get Gillian Anderson as Marilyn Monroe.
Yes.
So we get two medias. But it's the first time we see her in the flesh this time, though, because the other time she was in TV and then she's in the VR.
Yeah.
And we actually see her.
Yeah, this time we actually see her in the flesh, and she's literally floating down the hall as Marilyn Monroe in that famous white dress and the air blowing up her skirt.
It was awesome.
Perfection.
With the spotlight on her.
Yes.
Yes, and then she does the voice, and then she's all Marilyn and happy birthday. I was like, oh God, she's fucking Marilyn, and I kind of lost it.
But I thought the best part of that whole moment was Shadow. All the stuff that he's seen, the thing that freaks him out the most is her floating 2 inches off the ground.
It's like,
oh yeah,
floating right now.
Like that was
Why
it.
Is Lucy
like,
floating?
The line. Like no.
Why is Lucy floating? Yes.
Marilyn does not float.
I mean, if you need to draw a line somewhere, I guess floating 2 inches above the ground.
That's it.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Of all the things that he's seen already.
Yeah, but then of course we have the major pitch of join our side.
Now, before we get into the pitch.
Yes.
Mr. World walking into the room.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Mr. World does walk in the room first. You're right.
Like right after Marilyn takes her place in the room, then comes Mr. World. And it is so disorienting, like how they put the camera on him.
Yeah, they steady-cammed him, but they turned it around.
They steady-cammed him. Like I think at one point, like while he's walking down the hall into the room, they attached the camera to him, and so everything else is like behind him is moving, but not Mr. World.
Right.
And like there's some kind of coloration going on Crispin Glover, who is playing Mr. World, that is happening, and it's like, this guy is so fucking weird. Like
he's really tan.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They did, I think, that is never how I imagined Mr. World to look like. But now that I've seen it, I'm like, okay, I like what they did here.
I never could bring up an image for Mr. World in the book.
Mr. World always looked like the blanks to me. Like, for me, he always looked like just the blank faces, and whatever you kind of imagine would just kind of be projected onto it. You know, like, he was always more of a faceless entity. He was so big, giving him a face would almost diminish him in my brain. But seeing Crispin Glover being amazing was absolute poetry, and just the act of strapping a Steadicam onto him and having it centered on him, so as he walked, he was always perfectly balanced. But every step that he took, the world moved. This is Mr. World. That's what would happen. Yeah, and I love that they did that.
Whoever thought of that is fucking brilliant.
Pay that person more money. I mean, that cinematographer needs like a bump, okay? Because that was a beautiful shot. That right there is one of the more inventive shots I've seen on TV or in the cinema in a while. And it's not a new one, but just the way they projected it, it was just disoriented enough where every time they did it, Christina would go, "What the hell are they doing with the camera?"
Yeah, it's like I was literally yelling at the TV.
She was.
Like, what the hell is going on? This is amazing, but what the hell?
Yeah.
And I do love every step. You know, it kind of was like the Billie Jean, Michael Jackson, how it lit up, each little square lit up. When that first happened, I was like, Michael? And then I was like, oh, okay. This is where we're going. This is cool.
Yeah. The lighting up of the floorboards or the panels.
The tiles. Yeah.
That threw me because I was just like you. I'm like, is it music? Have they separated out media into music and maybe television? Because I was like, no, wait, it's Bowie. She's clearly music as well. And I was like, who the hell is this? And then it's Crispin Glover, and I'm like, oh, because this is so far off book. Yeah. I mean, we are way off book at this point.
This is the point where we step away from the book right now.
This is where the book is kind of like an afterthought, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like, we are,
and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Yeah. I have no complaints.
Yeah, and like through this scene, we get a very strong idea of what the new God's motivation is. And that is, in every sense of the word, a merger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they want to combine their strengths with the old gods so they can somehow be relevant again.
Yeah, and you know, at one point I love exactly what they're doing, because once we get the whole story, and I'm sorry, this is a horrible tease for everybody out there, but once we understand who's pulling the strings, why the strings were pulled, and why this motivation is so important to characters like Media and Mr. World, it comes into sharp focus why they're approaching people like so I just screwed up in a huge way. I name dropped who Mr. Wednesday was.
Yeah, you did.
I'm sorry, but we're going to bleep it.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to give up the ghost.
We bleeped it. Mike is going to bleep it.
Right. But of course we ruined Mike now.
We did. We ruined his innocence.
Dang it.
We popped his cherry prematurely.
Right. But if we're being completely fair, though, there is a moment in this episode where if you're savvy, it's spoiled for you.
Yeah.
It's blatantly obvious because Media does her thing, which just in case you haven't seen it for some odd reason and you're actually listening to this before watching it, why? But yes, there's a very interesting part as they're doing the cell and hyping up the old god, well, Mr. Wednesday with Shadow, and Media is doing her whole sales pitch as Marilyn, and they're showing what they could be like in the future. And if you're paying attention, it's right there. Actually, you don't even have to pay attention. It's literally right there.
When you say it's like writing on a wall, like a billboard, we literally mean.
It's almost like a rocket being shot into space.
Yes.
With it there in front of your face. I don't know. Just saying.
I like where they're going. Like because they want this merger, they don't say exactly why.
Right.
But they want a merger, kind of something more than a truce than what they've had before.
But it's an interesting idea, though, this idea of rebranding gods.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, we could think of how many things that have happened. And I mean, even the book brings it up later on. Mm-hmm. How many, deities that really have no purpose in today's life have been rebranded just through, like, various conglomerations and medias and McDonald's and holidays. I mean, we'll get into that later, but I mean, seriously, there's a lot of stuff that just because we think it sounds cool. A good example, Sirius Satellite. Talk about Sirius the dog. I mean, like there are legends. And, I mean, Sirius is relevant right now because of satellite radio.
Right.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff like that. And it's cool because that's how they're able to get back in.
Yeah, and so they're doing the old gods a service while simultaneously keeping them away from whatever Wednesday is planning.
Right. And I think Wednesday's point of view of, I would never willingly give up my autonomy, even if it means I'd be worshipped for eternity. Right. I love that he would rather burn and die versus having to bend knee to somebody like Mr. World. He's like, I don't know who you are. I don't care. Just go away.
Yeah.
And he goes, I live and die on my own cream.
Yeah.
And I do love, like, while all that's happening and they're wrapping up their sales pitch, so, they bring technology with them. And I love how Mr. World's like, okay, so you need to apologize, which is what Media had told him in the limo, was like, you need to apologize. And they're like, he's not going to accept my apology on top of the fact that I don't want to fucking apologize. And I love that moment when they're in the room and they're trying to wrap everything up. And technology has already done his half-ass apology while also, doing the whole... I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were offended that I tried to string you up. How dare I try to string up a black man? My bad, but I really don't care. I'm not part of that life. Right? And then, like, later on, as they are officially wrapping it up, technology is not on board with, trying to get them to rebrand. He's like, why can't we just delete them, take them out? Why are you letting them go? This is bullshit. And Media just, like, blows her little Marilyn kiss, and it knocks the shit out of technology, and his teeth come flying out.
That was great.
And it was wonderful, and it was so much satisfaction for me because he's just an obnoxious little prick.
Yeah.
And I love that we got that, like, to show that, as they said, you are new. Like, you are newer than we are, and you need to show respect. Because, like, as Mr. World keeps saying, we don't want to fight. I'm not your enemy. You want this war. All I want to do is merge with you. And don't mind this little prick over here. By the way, here, have these teeth as a gift.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean,
I thought that was really cool.
Now, I just have to ask, based on Mr. World's pitch, Do you agree with like how he's bringing it? Because I mean, if I'm in a situation, if I'm Shadow, I'm all about Mr. World at this point. Mr. World's like, I don't want problems. I just want everything to be cool.
I mean, he has a very convincing pitch.
He really does.
Very.
You know,
like, anyone lesser gods would buy into it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm hard pressed if I'm Mr. Wednesday to see the downside of this. Other than, one, we know who Mr. Wednesday is, and that Mr. Wednesday would never bend knee to another god.
Right.
2, pride. Another failing trait of Mr. Wednesday. And 3, since Mr. Wednesday knows who Mr. World is, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that, because of just who these characters are, they will never get along with one another. Even though, and I gotta say this, Mr. World's pitch is perfect. I mean, if you're trying to stay relevant in a modern world, he's figured it out.
He has.
I mean, it's like, if I'm a god, I'm on Team World. I'm sorry, I'm on Team World. But I mean, I get why Wednesday has his point. I mean, it's definitely, you're not worshiping me, you're worshiping the brand.
Yeah,
and he does not like that.
Yeah, because he said it in this episode, maybe a little earlier on, but you know, the old gods always gave something back to the worshippers,
right?
Whereas the new gods are only receiving.
Yeah. So
just like there's tradition where that Wednesday wants to keep,
right?
And just this is all wrong for him. This new way.
Yeah, there's definitely I can't wait to see how this all plays out, because there's going to have to be some serious evil chicanery to get me off of Team World at this point. Even though I love Wednesday, but as of right now, the way it's being presented, World hasn't figured out, you know, and it's like,
can you believe him?
Well, that's true. And I mean, and to be fair, there is one big thing that we have to address, is the fact that, as Christina said, you know, the new gods see humans as essentially just, you know, paying out this power source. They're batteries. They're batteries. There's nothing that they're giving back in return. And the slaughtering of the police house, which happens right after this, like, we see the aftermath of all these people who've just been brutally ripped apart and murdered and impaled. And
which brings me to another mystery. What are they doing with the tree god?
Mr. Wood?
Is it Mr.
It's
Wood?
Mr. Wood. They said his name was Mr. Wood, and I just got to the point in the book where Mr. Wood shows up. It's a reinterpretation of the Mr. Wood character, but it is absolutely Mr. Wood.
See, I did not remember Mr. Wood at all.
Yeah, Mr. Wood in the book is one of the G-Men. He's one of the faceless G-Men.
Okay, because I only remember Mr. Road and Mr. Town.
Yeah, no. Mr. Wood, it was Mr. Wood and Mr. Stone. Those were the first two that we meet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this one, Wednesday explains that Mr. Wood was an old god who was forgotten and basically gave up all of his power for this new version of himself.
Oh.
That's if I remember correctly, isn't that how he explained it to Shadow?
Yes. Yeah. So during the police station, as you know, the pitch is over with, and Wednesday's like, no. The new gods leave, and it's like, we'll give you some time to think about it. Bye. And so they're trying to leave the police station, see all this horrible devastation, and this giant tree apparently stabbed Shadow in the gut.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're leaving, and still freaked out. It's like, what is going on? We just need to go. We just need to leave. But so they're further down the road, and Shadow realizes he's actually cut in the gut, and Wednesday is just, let's stop the car. I need better lighting. And sure enough, apparently there was like some seedling.
Yeah.
Like little seed that's taken root inside his veins.
It was like a tuber, like almost like a potato tuber with with all the tendrils. It was gnarly.
It was gross.
It was gross. That was a painful piece of surgery though.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's like, don't look, and he's like all inside, and he rips it out and everything.
Yeah.
Which was really great. But the one thing that we have to talk about, obviously, which I know the whole having the new gods and seeing Mr. World and media and technology and them with their pitch, We have to absolutely talk about my boy who I have conflicted feelings about.
With dead wife.
We have to, yes, we have to talk about Mad Sweeney and his face-off with dead wife. Because as Shadow had told him, he's like, I need my coin, because obviously Mad Sweeney is having his horrible shit luck. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you have to go get it. So, Mad Sweeney went back. He tried to dig her up. It's not there. She's not there. And he is drawn to the coin. And so after Shadow and Wednesday are arrested and she's in the tub, Mad Sweeney comes busting up in there. And he's like, dead wife, where's my coin? And she's like, you can't have it. It was given to me. And he's like, well, I'm just going to take it from you. And it's wonderful, like, how he goes from, like, insulting her and calling her all these horrible things to almost pleading with her, like, because he knows he can't take it, really. He has to, like, she has to give it up. And he looks in her mouth and he's just like, you're gonna give it up. And, I think it's wonderful, the whole fight that they have. Like, he keeps trying to beat her up and everything, and she's just like, with her super strength, she's not having it. And he chokes her out and everything. I just love that whole scene. And then all of a sudden the police show up because that's his new luck.
Right.
And
she
plays dead underneath the water. And he's like, she's not really dead. He's like, you're a horrible, horrible person. And I think he keeps calling her a cunt.
Yeah, he does.
And she's just like, you know what? Who's a cunt now? I'm just going to play dead under the water. And they arrest him.
When she just decides to not move anymore because she hears the police breaking in. And he's like, no, she's alive. And then just looks at her. And he's like, oh, you bitch. On his face of, we're going to come back to this. It was phenomenal because, of course, Mad Sweeney being a lesser god, a demigod, however you want to look at it, being a lesser deity, could still kick the crap out of any human if they really wanted to. Yeah. I mean, Mad Sweeney's got skills. Yeah. And Laura just tears him apart.
Oh, yeah. It's so funny to watch.
Oh, my God, it's hilarious.
And she's just like kind of breaking bones.
Yes.
Poor guy. Yes.
She's like, what, was it a pinky or something that she
It was like her finger.
Yeah, oh God, it was so good.
Finger is like, now, if you want to cooperate, tell me everything. Use your words.
Use your words. I say that, Laura and I, we say that to each other, and it's like, use your words. And I heard that, I started giggling. Because like that, for us, that's like it's a safe place. You can use your words, it's okay. And she's like, I'm going to tear off your finger. And I'm like, that's not a safe place.
And after he's taken away from the cops, like they drive him to the police station, which is already under siege.
Right.
And he knows that those two cops that brought him in,
they're dead.
They're done for. And so he tries to knock the window out of the cop car, climb out, but his luck being shit right now, just totally annihilates his own nuts.
Yeah, he racks himself on the broken the window. Oh man.
Like, there was so much. Like, if we gave last week's episode a little bit lesser of a score because it slowed everything down, this episode crammed so much into it.
It really did. It really did.
We had a conversation. We had the Mad Sweeney fight. We got the pitch with Mr. We finally get Mr. World.
Yeah.
We have all that. And then we also have at the very end, after it's all played out, Mr. Wednesday seeing Laura running at dead speed after him. And he's taking off. And he knows that if she catches up, like, he might lose Shadow. And he's like, well, this is not going to happen. And they just bolt. Like,
cranks up the radio.
Just cranks up the radio and leaves. And that leaves Laura to have to team up with Mad Sweeney, which, again, is another show.
I love this.
Oh.
It is indeed another show.
That I would love to watch. Like, I would just love to watch that all day long. Like, just Mad Sweeney and Laura on the road forever.
As she's kicking his ass.
As she's kicking his ass at different road stops, just...
But I guess we're going to have to settle for Laura and Sweeney heavy episodes.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, the very end of the episode, again, so Laura is dead. She's in the morgue, and she, like, burst out, and, she's getting ready. She does the thing in the window, which you tried to explain to me. She breathes, and she tries, because she was going to write in the window, and no breath comes out. So, again, I say to you, how do you have no breath, and you can't fog anything up, but you can smoke?
Because
she forgot to inhale first.
I guess.
Whatever. Anyway, but like you said, this was a very jam-packed episode. I really did love it.
Also, R.I.P. that coroner who was looking at ponies and not porn.
Right?
Yes!
Oh my God!
Looking at ponies.
We were talking about this when the episode happens. We're like, this guy is on Google. He is not looking at lascivious porn. It's not horse porn. It is like he's looking at ponies, and it's like this is the most gentle soul that we have met in this entire show.
He's too pure for this world. Of course, he's gonna die.
And he gets creamed by a cadaver door.
Yeah, because she kicks it, she like punches it out, and it just hits him, and she's like, meh. Yeah. Oh, well. But see, I love, again, as you always tell me, that I'm like the dark, sinister person. Was he just looking at ponies? I mean, was there some...
I didn't get a chance to go through his Google search history. He was alone in a dark room with only dead people around, okay?
And, like, music was playing in the background, too.
Yes, and he's just looking at literal pictures of horses. And
you know what? I'll be on your team.
Oh, wow.
They're mini horses.
The little miniature.
They're little Sebastians.
I'll be on your team. I will join Team Shaun and Laura for Team Positivity because you know what? His job. I'm sorry, Lord. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Laura, who's all up in the morgue.
Yeah. That Laura.
But yeah. I'll join Brownie and Shaun. And I will just say that, you know what, in a world of being in a morgue and seeing all that death, maybe he needed some positivity. So in his downtime, he looks at ponies. And then, but now he's dead. Because
no good and pure thing can live in this world, right? Like, it's not, you got to have some darkness in you.
Yeah. So Mike, what do you give this jam-packed, crazy episode with all the things?
I'm back up to a 4 thumbs. I'm back.
4 thumbs? Because you're like the goddess Kali with multiple arms over here.
I know, right?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, you know, how about we just call him Mama Baba?
Mama
Baba.
Oh, yeah, that was her name.
That was her name, Mama Baba.
Mama Baba.
Okay, and Brittney, what do you think about this episode? What rating do you give it?
I love this episode after the Laura-centric kind of slow episode. I love, I'm going to give it like an A-. I really liked everything that we got. I got my Mad Sweeney, I got my Laura, I love it. And it's the momentum for me to want to see the next one, which, you know, haha, thanks to us, we already know. But, you know, A-, totally strong, really loved it.
Shaun?
I give this one an A+. There is nothing about this episode that I dislike. It was jam-packed. It had so many great things. We had a huge reveal if you knew where to look. Mm-hmm. It was everything I could have hoped for after having to wait an extra week. You know, and and rest in peace, Pony Mortician. You know, you're too good and pure for this world. But yeah, I loved it all. So I give it a grandstand A+. Absolutely.
Cool. I found Mr. World, we didn't really discuss it because we were of how awesome Crispin Glover was. Mm-hmm. I found his reveal to be a little jarring so early in the series, even though we're technically halfway there.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a conceit we have to give for the format of storytelling. I think if we don't introduce the big bad guy early on, I mean, hell, even Game of Thrones showed us the White Walkers at the very beginning, and then it took how many years before they became relevant again?
It's true.
Very true.
And that's very true.
Yeah.
And considering how short this first season is, he has to show up at some point.
Yeah.
So might as well be this one.
And what a great way to show up.
But it was a great introduction. Like, I am still, kudos to that cinematographer for strapping that camera onto him.
Seriously, give that guy a raise.
And, the coloration on his face, whenever you got a close-up shot, was just weird.
Yeah.
But overall, I have to just give this an A.
Yeah.
Just an A. But it's a very good A. It's a very high A.
It's a high A.
So right now we're like, this is the best episode. Out of what we've seen.
I think through the entire season, this what might be considered the climax of the story.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing could have made this episode better is if we had gotten a Nancy story in this episode.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god.
This would have been this would have been the unbeatable episode. If the Nancy's portion of Somewhere in America was in this episode, that would have been it. Like nothing would have come close to touching this episode ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
But I think in episode 6 he.
Yeah! Don't go.
No, this is for anticipation.
Okay.
We may or may not get to see him again because, like, literally, I am not sure. I know he gets to show up again.
Yes, we do get at least one more Mr. Nancy moment. At the very least, I know we have at least one more. Yeah.
So, this is not the end of Orlando Jones.
Bloom. No, Jones. You're right, Jones. You did it last week. I did it this week.
No, I never did it.
No, 2 weeks ago. Somebody did. Somebody.
It was me.
Oh, it was Brittney. Okay, it was Brittney.
It was me.
Okay.
I never did it.
Yeah, it was like somebody did it.
This is because she is the editor-in-chief, the assistant editor-in-chief, so she's not going to fuck it up. So leave it to us.
Yeah, I'll leave it to you guys to fuck it up.
Thank you.
Okay, so that wraps up the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys for listening. Where can we find you, Shaun?
Well, you can find me at my normal podcast, which is ShaunCastic.com. That's SHAUN, Castic, CASTIC. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do so at Numaz. That's PNEUMAZ.
Brittney, where can we find you?
You can also find me at the same place. I am Shaun's co-host for our BS Hour on Shaun Castic. So again, that's SHAUN, Castic.com. And if you want to come find me, which please do, I love Twitter friends. I'm at Sunny, SUNNY Burlesque. And come and talk to me about how much you love Mad Sweeney, aka Pornstash.
And Mike, where can we find you on the internet?
Find me over on Twitter at ThisIsTrex and also over on my website at trexlight.com.
Cool. And I am Christina. I am the assistant editor of Legion of Leia. You can find me on there where I write so many things. You can also find me on Twitter at Intro to Geek, one word. And every week you can find this podcast on SoundCloud and YouTube. So...
Represent.com.
Represent.com. So, if you haven't already checked it out, there is a new character. We are recording this early, so I have no idea what it is.
Right.
Who it is.
But they do, every week there's a new character, new t-shirts.
Every weekend they feature a new character on a new t-shirt on Represent.com.
And the proceeds go to that particular charity.
The proceeds go to the whoever is representing the character, the actor's choice of charity or organization. So yep, just look it up. If you like the shirt, they're $25 and give to a good cause.
Awesome.
So yeah, and that wraps it up. And ciao for now.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
This has been American Pods, the American Gods podcast. The theme song is called Life in Motion by Hike, used under the Creative Commons license.